Only dark chosen ones are tuned to this rare ego's frequency. Imagine this: you're walking alone on a moonlit path. The world around you silent except for the rhythm of your own breath. The shadows seem alive, as if ancient secrets are whispering your name. You sense deep down that you are not like the others. There is a frequency subtle, elusive, almost impossible to describe that you can feel pulsing through your being. Most people move through life deaf to it, distracted by noise, blinded by the glare of the surface. But you hear it, feel it, sometimes even fear it. This is the rare ego's frequency, and only dark chosen ones are tuned to it. What if I told you that it is both your burden and your greatest gift? Let's be honest, most people will never understand this frequency. They're content with the familiar, the predictable, the comfort of the herd. But we, the ones who have been marked by shadow, know there is something more. We sense the hidden architecture of reality, the blueprint behind the mask of the ordinary. We are called to dance on the edge of the abyss, to peer into the dark corners of our own psyche and return with treasures others will never find. But why? Why are only some of us tuned to this rare ego's frequency? The answer is both simple and profound, because most cannot withstand its intensity. The ordinary ego seeks safety, certainty, and control. But the rare ego, the one awakened in the dark chosen, is forged in chaos and sharpened by suffering. It thrives where others would flee.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
I think back on your own story. How many times have you faced situations that shattered your sense of self? How often have you felt the urge to dissolve, to escape, to lose yourself in distraction only to find that something within you refuses to break? That is the rare ego's frequency humming at your core. It's not arrogance or pride, it's a quiet, unyielding presence that says, I will endure, I will transform, I will find meaning even in the void. This is not the ego that seeks applause or validation. In fact, many dark chosen ones feel misunderstood, even rejected by society. But the truth is, we are not here to fit in. We are here to awaken, to remember, to hold the mirror up to the world's illusions. The path of tuning into this rare ego's frequency is not for the faint of heart. It demands that we confront our deepest shadows, our hidden fears, our unspoken desires. It asks us to question every story we've been told about who we are and what we're capable of. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, who am I when no one is watching? What do I crave in the silence of my own company? What truths do I hide from even myself? These are the questions that open doors to new dimensions of power. Most people will never ask them. They're too busy running from discomfort, seeking to numb their pain. But we, the dark chosen, are different. We know that the only way out is through. You see, the rare ego's frequency is not about domination or control. It's about integration. It's the ability to hold light and darkness within the same body, to honor the full spectrum of your humanity. This is spiritual maturity in its truest form. It's easy to chase the light, to aspire to be pure, positive, and enlightened. But the rare ego knows that true growth requires us to descend into the underworld, to make peace with the monsters under our bed. Can you sit with your anger, your jealousy, your shame, without running from them? And can you listen to the voice inside that says, I am afraid or I am lost, and offer it compassion instead of condemnation? The rare ego's frequency is a vibration of radical acceptance. It is the willingness to see ourselves whole, even when that wholeness includes brokenness. And here's where things get even deeper. When you are tuned to this frequency, you begin to see the world differently. You notice patterns that others miss, synchronicities that seem to guide your steps. You recognize when someone is lying to you or, more importantly, lying to themselves. You can sense the hidden agendas, the silent cries for help, the unresolved wounds that shape people's actions. This is not a curse, though at times it may feel like one. It is a sacred responsibility. The world needs people who can see through the veils, who are not seduced by surface appearances. We are the ones who can call out the truth, who can hold space for transformation, who can catalyze healing simply by being present. Of course, this level of awareness comes at a price. The rare ego's frequency can be lonely. You may find yourself withdrawing from superficial conversations, craving deeper connections that are hard to find. You might feel misunderstood, even alienated, by those who cannot see the world as you do. But solitude is not the same as isolation. In the quiet, you can hear the guidance of your own soul. You learn to trust yourself, to become your own source of validation. This self-reliance is not about closing yourself off. It's about becoming so rooted in your own truth that nothing can shake you. You become a beacon for others who are ready to awaken those who sense there is more, who are searching for a different kind of power. As you walk this path, you will be tested. Life will send you challenges designed to break you open, to strip away everything that is false. You will be asked to let go of old identities, relationships, ambitions, anything that no longer serves your highest growth. Each time you surrender, you attune more deeply to the rare ego's frequency. You discover that your true power does not come from what you have, but from who you are. You realize that your wounds are not scars to be hidden, but portals to wisdom. Every time you face your shadow, you reclaim a piece of your lost self. So, let me ask you, what are you willing to let go of in order to become who you truly are? What illusions are you still clinging to? What parts of yourself have you banished to the shadows, hoping they will disappear? Are you willing to retrieve them, to welcome them home? Remember, only dark chosen ones can answer this call. Only those who are brave enough to face themselves can tune into this frequency. The world will try to distract you, to convince you that you are broken or wrong. But deep down, you know the truth. You are not broken. You are breaking open. The initiation: how the dark chosen reforge the ego and unlock hidden spiritual power. When you accept the call to tune into the rare ego's frequency, you step onto a path of initiation that is as ancient as it is hidden. Most will never tread this road because it asks for everything: your comfort, your certainty, your illusions. The journey is rarely glamorous. It often begins with a collapse, an unraveling, some event or realization that shakes the foundations of your identity. Suddenly, the stories you told yourself about your worth, your belonging, your role in the world no longer fit. It can feel as though you are standing in the ruins of your own life, unsure if anything valuable remains. But this is where the true work begins. In those moments of darkness, when the ego is stripped bare, the dark chosen ones receive their first real glimpse of power, not the power to control others, but the power to remake themselves from the ashes. This is the crucible where the rare ego is reforged. Here we realize that the ego is not an enemy to be vanquished, but a tool to be purified. It's like a sword forged in fire. The more it is tempered, the stronger it becomes. Many spiritual seekers try to transcend the ego, to dissolve it entirely. But the dark chosen know that our task is different. We must bring the ego into alignment with our soul's purpose. This means facing our deepest fears and desires, not with judgment but with curiosity. If you look honestly at your own journey, you may notice how your greatest pain has always pointed to your greatest potential. The envy that burned inside you became a signpost to what you truly value. The anger you tried to suppress was energy begging to be channeled. The shame you carried revealed your longing to belong, to be seen and loved for who you are. Every part of your ego, even the so-called negative aspects, contains the raw material for transformation. In this spiritual alchemy, the dark chosen learn to extract wisdom from their wounds. We stop running from our shadows and instead ask, "What are you teaching me? How can I use this pain as fuel for growth?" Over time, this inner questioning becomes second nature. You begin to notice how your triggers are invitations, your failures, hidden blessings. The rare ego's frequency sharpens your intuition, guiding you to places and people that challenge and expand you. Sometimes this guidance feels like being dragged through fire. Relationships end, careers fall apart, your old world dissolves. Each loss, though, is a clearing, a sacred space where the new can be born. This is where the hidden spiritual power awakens. When you stop resisting the lessons of your ego, your energy shifts. You become magnetic, drawing opportunities, insights, and kindred souls who resonate with your new vibration. You no longer seek validation from the outside because you have found a deeper authority within. Have you noticed, as you walk further down this path, that your presence alone changes the energy of any room? That your words carry a weight they never had before? This is not egoic arrogance. It is the quiet confidence of someone who has faced their own darkness and survived. It is spiritual gravitas, a gravity that anchors you in truth. But with this power comes responsibility. The rare ego's frequency is not for personal gain or manipulation. It is a gift to be used for healing, for awakening, for catalyzing change in the collective. The dark chosen are not here to dominate, but to serve as midwives for the world's transformation. We become guides for others still wandering in the dark, not by preaching but by embodying the integration we have achieved. This is the true initiation, to realize that your ego, when aligned with your soul, becomes the bridge between the human and the divine. And so I ask you, in this very moment, what are you being initiated into? What is the deeper purpose behind your struggles? Are you willing to see your ego not as a prison but as a portal? The rare frequency is always there, waiting for you to tune in. The next step is yours. The alchemy of shadow, turning the dark ego into a source of spiritual light. Once you have stepped through the gates of initiation, the real work, what I call the alchemy of shadow, begins. This is not a single revelation, but a lifelong process, a spiral dance between your human wounds and your emerging wisdom. For those tuned to the rare ego's frequency, the shadow is no longer an enemy to be fought, but a source of immense creative energy waiting to be unlocked. Most people spend their lives running from pain, denying parts of themselves, or projecting their darkness onto others. But you, as a dark chosen one, are called to do the opposite, to face the very things you fear, to bring them into the light, and to harness their raw, unfiltered power for growth, not just for yourself, but for everyone whose lives you touch. Let's be honest, the shadow can be terrifying. It holds our rage, our jealousy, our insecurities, and even our secret dreams. It is everything we have learned to hide to be accepted, loved, or safe. But what if I told you that your shadow is actually the key to your liberation? The rare ego's frequency allows us to approach these hidden aspects with compassion and curiosity instead of shame. Imagine sitting down with your darkest feelings, not as an adversary, but as a wise teacher. What messages are they trying to deliver? What unmet needs lie beneath the surface? The dark chosen learn to listen deeply, to decode the language of their own psyche. Over time, we see that every piece of our shadow, every ugly thought, every forbidden desire contains a fragment of our soul's gold. The alchemy happens the moment we stop rejecting these parts and instead invite them to the table of our consciousness. This is not about indulging our wounds or justifying destructive behavior. On the contrary, it is about radical responsibility. When you own your shadow, you stop blaming the world for your suffering. You recognize that while you may not have chosen your pain, you do have the power to choose how you respond. This shift is seismic. Suddenly, energy that was locked away in repression becomes available for creativity, insight, and loving action. Have you ever noticed how artists, visionaries, and true leaders often have a complicated relationship with their shadow? They have suffered, yes, but they have also mined that suffering for wisdom. Their greatest art, their most profound contributions, often emerge from the crucible of their darkest nights. Why should you be any different? What beauty might you create if you stopped hiding from yourself? For the dark chosen, this process of shadow integration is ongoing. Each time we face a new layer of our pain, we gain more power and clarity. We become less reactive, more compassionate, and infinitely more authentic. People sense this authenticity. They are drawn to it, often inexplicably. When you are comfortable with your own darkness, you become a safe space for others to explore theirs. You become a catalyst for transformation simply by being who you are. This is the paradox. The more you embrace your shadows, the brighter your light becomes. Your energy shifts from fractured and defensive to whole and magnetic. You walk through life with a sense of inner solidity and knowing that nothing inside you is unworthy of love. But this journey is not about becoming perfect or healed in the way society imagines. It's about becoming real. The rare ego's frequency tunes you to a new kind of power, a power that is humble, grounded, and fiercely compassionate. You learn to laugh at your mistakes, to forgive yourself quickly, to apologize with sincerity. You see through the games of the ego yours and everyone else's without needing to judge or distance yourself. You realize that every human is carrying their own shadows, their own pain, and you become less interested in separation and more interested in connection. Isn't that what the world needs most right now? People who can see the darkness without losing sight of the light. As you refine this alchemical process, you begin to notice subtle changes in your daily life. Conflicts that once triggered you deeply now become opportunities for understanding. Criticism loses its sting because you no longer confuse your worth with other people's opinions. Your desires become clearer, more aligned with your soul. You make decisions from a place of wholeness rather than lack. And perhaps most importantly, you develop a kind of spiritual resilience of faith in your own ability to navigate whatever life throws at you. You trust the process, even when it's messy or painful, because you know that each descent into the shadow is followed by a new ascent into the light. So let me ask you something truly profound. What part of your shadow are you still running from? What would happen if you turned toward it with love, just for a moment, and let it speak? The rare ego's frequency is not about escaping the darkness, but about embracing it so completely that it can no longer control you. This is the alchemy of shadow, turning your wounds into wisdom, your pain into power, your darkness into the brightest light. The gift of transmission, how rare ego frequencies awaken others and reshape the world. When you reach this stage of the journey, something extraordinary begins to happen, something that is both subtle and unmistakable. The rare ego's frequency is not just a private experience, it becomes a living force that ripples out into the world. Every person you encounter, every space you enter, every word you speak is charged with the energy of your integration. It is as if you have become a tuning fork for truth, vibrating at a pitch that calls dormant souls into wakefulness. This is the secret legacy of the dark chosen ones. We do not heal only ourselves, we activate the evolution of everyone we touch. Have you ever noticed how people react differently when you are truly present? They begin to open up in ways they never expected. They reveal their own shadows, their secret pains, their longings and hopes. Your presence becomes an invitation, a silent permission for them to drop their masks and be real. This is not something you force or manipulate, It simply happens because you are holding a new frequency. Your journey through the shadow has given you a rare kind of authority, a depth that others instinctively trust. They can feel that you have been through the fire, that you are not afraid of the dark, and so they allow themselves to be seen, perhaps for the first time. This transmission is more powerful than any teaching or philosophy. It is the embodied wisdom that speaks directly to the soul. In a world obsessed with appearances and surface solutions, your authenticity is revolutionary. You remind people of what is possible when we stop running from ourselves. You model the kind of courage, self-acceptance, and radical honesty that the world is starving for. And the effect is contagious. One awakened dark chosen can inspire dozens, even hundreds, to begin their own journey of integration. You become a living doorway, a bridge between the old ways of fear and the new possibilities of love. But with this gift comes a deep responsibility. The rare ego's frequency is not a tool for manipulation or control. It demands humility and discernment. Sometimes your presence will trigger resistance in others. Old wounds may surface, projections may fly, and people may even turn away because your energy is too intense for them in that moment. That is part of the process. Your task is not to fix or save anyone, but to remain rooted in your own integration, to trust that every soul awakens in its own time. The world does not need more gurus or saviors. It needs real human beings who are willing to walk the path of shadow and light, who can hold space for others without losing themselves. I think about the ripple effect this can have. Every conversation, every act of kindness, every time you choose truth over comfort, you are seeding new possibilities into the collective field. You are helping to birth a new paradigm, one where wholeness is valued over perfection, where vulnerability is seen as strength, and where the rare frequency of the integrated ego becomes the foundation for a more conscious world. Imagine a planet where more and more people are willing to face their own shadows, to heal their wounds, to step into their true power. What kind of world could we co-create if we all tuned into this rare frequency? So I leave you with one final question, a question that only you can answer in the quiet of your own heart. How will you use your gift? Will you retreat into old patterns of fear and hiding, or will you step forward, letting the rare frequency of your ego become a beacon for others? The choice is yours, and the world is waiting. Remember, only the dark chosen ones are tuned to this rare ego's frequency. It's time to claim your place as a transmitter for awakening, a bearer of light in the darkness, and a living example of what it means to be truly, unapologetically whole.